Nobody cares about you. They're all too busy thinking about themselves. This is the mantra I most frequently tell my people that are wanting to get started in their dietitian private practices. And it is the mantra that we should utilize as we're preparing all of our content, media marketing, to referring providers, etc. How can we serve that person rather than give a detailed orientation into the life of us? Sheena and I have ran a dietitian private practice for the past decade. Our dietitians to start and grow a successful dietitian private practice. New episodes every Wednesday. If you're serious about getting started with your dietitian practice, definitely click that subscribe buttons and the alert button so you don't miss any new episodes. Okay, what does this even mean when I say that no one cares about us? They're all too busy thinking about themselves. While this sounds really horrific, honestly, and it kind of gives us a little ouch factor, really, it can actually be very mutually beneficial for both us and our patients when it's utilized in a positive, productive way that will help a client to solve their problem. It's also going to help us to be more fulfilled in finding the right clients for which we are a perfect match. I want to start with how this might come into play in your marketing materials. One of the biggest pieces of business advice that I give dietitians is your about me section, your content that is referencing what you do, actually should never be about you. That should be about your patients. I know that sounds weird, right? Like, we're on our website. We want to tell about our education, our years in practice, etc. We have this deep urge to tell everybody about us. Now, what I want to say is that actually is more of the ego talking than selling your services and helping a patient make a transformation. So when you are writing your About Me section, pro tip, it actually has nothing to do with you and it should be about your patients. So how the heck do you do that if you're trying to tell somebody how you are qualified to help that individual solve a problem? One of the best ways to do this is to basically create what we call an ideal client avatar. So essentially, it's who is your patient that you are serving? What is their name? Give them an actual name. What is their gender? How old are they? What are their hobbies and interests? What does their family structure look like? What is their educational status, etc. Get as deep into that client so you can really get to know them. So that way, when you are creating content for them, you're speaking directly to them. This is a little trick that will help you in all of your marketing materials. So you're speaking directly to that patient and you are actually in their head, reading their thoughts, which would make you the perfect person to solve their problem. So take the ego out of everything that you do. Again, no one cares about you. So if you start finding yourself saying, I do this is my education, etc., one, snore. Honestly, I don't care what your education is. And this is a really hard thing for dietitians, especially to get past, because we have to have so much education. We have to get such good grades to become a dietitian and pass the giant exam, etc. And meanwhile, ideal client and probably your referring providers don't even know what a dietitian is. Okay, take a moment to cry, grieve, whatever, and then move on with your day so you can actually get some clients. The only place that I ever showcase my credentials is basically just in a little one sentence or less kind of bullet point on my website, just to show people, if they're actually interested, which they're probably not, that I am legally able to see that patient. Otherwise, I don't even hardly use the word dietitian. I use nutritionist, because if somebody has a nutrition problem, that's probably the word that they know. Now, if you want to keep the ego in place and start utilizing all these words like dietitian and certified diabetes educator and all of these things, just know that the more you put that out there, the more you're actually separating yourself from most clients. Now, there's going to be a few that are seeking that out or what have you. I add that as kind of a side note at the end. It should not be the main way that you are showing who you are and how you help patients. So, about you section on your website, actually nothing to do with you. So just kind of keep that in mind. The next thing that you want to remember when you're creating your About Me page for your website or in anything that you're showcasing to a doctor, etc., is you want to be vulnerable. The vulnerability is a superpower. The more people feel that they can connect with you because they're seeing into how you react emotionally to things, etc., the more they're likely to expose who they are, their pain points, and seek you out as a solution to their problem. So just remember that. Vulnerability is a superpower. Your ego is not your amigo. Take the ego completely out of this situation here so you can actually reach a client, get a client, and show that client that you are the best fit to solve their problems. Third thing is if somebody could take a pill versus having your dietitian services to solve their problem, they would. So what you really want to be showcasing is how can you get that person to solving their problem with the least amount of friction. Just remember, when you're talking to a client, when you're talking to a provider, they don't want more of your time. They want more of their time back. Like I said, if they could take a pill and just avoid you altogether, or you're the person that gives them a pill, that's what they would be doing. And so you really want to showcase that you are going to solve their problem, not you are going to require more of their time and their money in order to create a transformation. So we really just want to keep those things in mind. One thing I always recommend when you are starting with your About Me page is create a story. Have a narrative for that individual to help them to connect with you and know if they are the right fit for you. Another big thing that you're going to want to remember when you are doing your About Me page, and honestly, mostly any of your other content, is that you want to attract the right people so strongly would feel uncomfortable if they didn't seek out your services almost, and you want to deeply, deeply repel the wrong people. If you do not have that stance on your website where it is a very clear yes or no that they should work for you, all you're going to get is ambiguous people that probably aren't going to be booking with you or are going to require 1, 2, 7 touch points before they ever even consider booking a session with you. Honestly, on my website, I get mostly what I call blind bookings. So people don't even call me before they book an appointment. They just go right on. They're like, yes, I resonate. I vibe with this person. And they just go ahead and book an appointment. So I'm just going to give you an example of the reaction that I am trying to facilitate when I do my content on my website. Something that the mother of someone that was seeking support out on my website wrote to me. And it's a really good example of what you're going to want to aim for when you are creating your content. Now, I'm going to change all of the names in here so there's no potential disclosure of who this person was. So just know these are not real names that I'm using. So she writes to me, I'm just going to read this here. Hi, Sheena. My daughter Sam is 20 and was diagnosed with orthorexia last fall and is currently at the Recovery Center in Seattle, Washington. We are working on an exit strategy plan for her to come home, and I was talking with Tommy Reiner from Yakima this morning, and she recommended that I contact you. And I'm so glad she did. I just got done looking at your website, and I think you would be the perfect fit. Reading your story, I felt like I was reading Sam's, and your honest and direct but fun personality is Sam to a T. I met with Sam's dietitian and therapist at the ERC on Friday, and they both expressed that if we had a team in place for her, that she is in a good place to be discharged. I am hoping that you would consider taking Sam on as a client. Essentially, my About Me page served exactly the purpose that I was wanting it to. And just a little bit about what is on my About Me page. You're more than welcome to go look that up on my website, www.pizzaandnutrition.com. Go to About Me, and you can read my full story. There's a lot of vulnerability in there. Trigger warning. It does include a lot of information about my history with an eating disorder. And I specifically geared it so that was the exact reaction that I got. Was people could identify with this if they were somebody that was struggling with an eating disorder. If you have ever worked with eating disorders, you know that an individual with an eating disorder knows another individual with an eating disorder, and oftentimes we do have very similar thoughts, emotions, and reactions to the treatment measures that are put into place when we are in the recovery journey. So if you read my About Me page, which actually seems like it is about me, In actuality, while it is an experience that I had with having a 15-year history with an eating disorder, like I said, trigger warning, there's lots of information in there. And some of the emotions and guilt and shame and things like that that I experienced during that and during my recovery and how I worked through that recovery, it really is designed to channel some of the energy in the reader for how they might know if I am a good fit and can understand the scenario that they're facing. So that's similar to what you're going to want to create in your About Me page and honestly, all of your materials that you are creating for that patient. Put yourself in that experience in some way, but really you're trying to elicit that emotional reaction from the patient that says, yes, this is exactly what I need. I even know that I had this problem that existed in this way, but ding, 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 here are all of the things that I'm experiencing that maybe I don't even have words for. That's what you want the patient reading your story to know about you. So again, About You pages, never about you. And that's a little bit of a tricky thing to do, but you can absolutely do it. And even if you don't have a personal history with condition of whoever you serve, there are other ways to connect yourself in that scenario and outline for that patient something that will connect you in an energetic way to some of the things that they are experiencing. So maybe, it's a close loved one that you had experienced having cancer with, etc. It might be a story like that. Or you might just kind of outline some of those pain points that your patient is experiencing and wrap that into some of the training that you've done throughout your education. I would highly recommend not to make it boring. Like I said, no one cares about you. So please, in your About Me page, do not write 100 things about where you went to college and that you graduated summa cum laude and that you have so many kids and a dog and this is the dog's name. While that does seem like it would help you connect with the patient, that actually really doesn't have anything to do with the patient's pain points or how you're going to help them move in that transition. So we don't just want to be spilling things about our lives. We want to really touch the emotional impact of the person reading that and describe some of their experiences that we may share as well in that About Me section of your website. Now, I know that's a really weird way to think about it, but honestly, it saves so much time, you guys, in letting that client know whether or not you are a good fit for them. Also, and letting referring providers know that you're a good fit for certain patients. Now, we're probably not going to want to go so in depth and in detail when we're working with a referring provider, but we want to keep that same mentality. They don't want more of your time. They don't want to know all of your personal details and what kind of grades you got and etc. They just want to know how you're going to save them time and move their patient forward. So just kind of keep that in mind. No one cares about you. They're all too busy thinking about themselves. Now, as you can see, when this is done well, it is not a negative thing. It does not mean we need to disconnect from other individuals. Quite the opposite. If you are caring about yourself and you're deeply empathetic and wanting to serve those patients very deeply, then that patient is going to receive that in that knowing that that meets their specific needs, which is, again, them caring about themselves, which is really all that we're trying to do is get these patients to care about themselves enough to make transformation. This video was helpful for you. If so, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing with a friend that might also find this content beneficial.